All right, here we go. So, as you all know that were here last time, I'm Vincent Laboy with 402 Content Marketing. We are most known for this Columbus Champions. I will tell you, we do have a Columbus former champion in the back, in case you didn't know. And we are also a hyper-local content marketing network. That means a lot of things. It's more than just an elevator pitch. It's actually part of our vision statement and our mission statement. So, last time we were here, we ran through a lot of information. And for those that were here, you missed it. It was like drinking from a fire hose, wasn't it?
It was a lot. Yep.
It was a lot. In fact, Andy, who's not here, said, "Can we get your slides?" Because there was just too much information to take notes on all that. The good news is two things. First of all, it is a slower pace today, so we can talk about individual businesses and your questions. The other thing is, if you go to YouTube and type in Columbus Any Champions, that is our YouTube page. So there's several things on there. But if you type in Columbus Any Champions, you can actually rewatch the video. And if you wanted to speed through and just see some of the slides are on that video. Now, not all my slides are there. Copyright reason, they didn't get to watch some of the videos that we watched here. But on that presentation, you get a gist of what we talked about. And if there's something you're like, hey, I wanted to see what he said about that, you can go there. Now, the other thing is, before we get started, we are going to take the time to do a brief. We talked about digital versus traditional media. If you remember correctly, we talked about the definitions between the two, and we said, hey, I got 2 volunteers to read. It was a full room. 2 volunteers stepped up and read, and we said, what was the difference between digital and marketing? What was the big difference between the two?
Online and offline.
Yeah, online channels and offline media. That was the big difference between the two. The big takeaway was, no matter which one you're using, it still requires you to understand the basic principles of marketing and advertising. People get all caught up in digital and they don't realize you still have to understand the basic principles. So that's the big takeaway number 1. Big takeaway number 2, we talked about the benefits of digital marketing. Remember, I talked about people are rushing to digital marketing, and we said, well, why are they rushing to digital marketing? And there were 5 benefits of digital marketing. Can you tell me any one of those 5?
No barriers to entry.
No barriers to entry. And what do we mean by that?
Anybody can do it.
Anybody can do it. That was 1. Very good. 5 biggest benefits of digital marketing. First one, it is greater reach at a lower cost. Compared to traditional media, greater reach at a lower cost. Now, does this kind of lead right into the next one? It has this big reach, but it also gives you the ability to target. It gives you better audience targeting than traditional media. The next one, it is data-driven decision making. You can pull data. You can see who opened your ad. You can see who liked your ad. You can see who shared your ad. There's all this data that's available on digital, and people love that. The other thing is, it is flexible and adaptable. Remember last time I talked about a billboard, if you had a partner with you and you guys took a picture on your billboard and then all of a sudden that partner left your company, you have to go through a lot of steps to change that billboard and get a new picture of you and your new partner. But on digital, you can change that almost instantaneously. And then digital marketing gave us customer engagement. So if you're the librarian, you want people to engage with you, you can do that through digital marketing. But if you had an ad in the magazine, you probably couldn't get that engagement. And then here's the $1 million sum up. The key point is a cost-efficient media option with measurable results and no barriers to entry. All right? So that was big takeaway number 2 from last week, or 2 weeks ago. Then we talked about the secrets of platform success. I won't put you on the spot here, but the secret to platform success is right here. You remember that? Regardless of what platform you're on, that's not the secret to the success. It's not if you're on TikTok or if you're on Facebook or if you're on Instagram. That's not the secret. The secret is, what is your marketing strategy? That's the first thing you have to know. We also talked about strategy and tactics. You had to have both of them. Now, here's a tough one, so I won't put you on the spot on that one. But the difference between strategy and tactics, anybody know? I said I won't put you on the spot, and I put you on the spot, didn't I?
One was an overall plan, and one was the things you're specifically going to do to get there.
Exactly. Now, which was which?
The strategy, the tactics are what you're doing specifically to get to the strategy.
You totally get it. Look, here's a slide. I'll put them up there so you can just read them. But if you remember, the marketing strategy is your overall game plan. It tells you how you're going to reach potential customers and convert them to paying customers. Now, in different worlds, like for the library, how are you going to reach potential customers? Maybe not turn them into pay customers, but how are you going to turn them into regular users of the library? You're on the same page, right? Where the marketing tactics, good job, by the way. The marketing tactics are, what are you specifically doing to achieve that strategy, that marketing strategy? And those are short-term type of goals. There's a variety of marketing channels you can use, but it's kind of the how-to you're going to reach the strategy. Now, the strategy is important because it gives you focus, and not only for you, but it gives your whole organization focus on what they're trying to accomplish with the marketing. It also provides a roadmap on how we're going to do that, and it gives you something to measure and adjust against. So there's a lot of benefits to having that. I think we ended up by saying marketing strategy first, then tactics. Why was that? Does anybody remember why that was? I'll tell you, if you don't have the strategy right, it doesn't matter what tactics you're using, it's not going to work. You got to have the strategy first. So then we ended up talking about a 4-step strategic marketing plan. That's where we left off, and we went into the first step of that. Now, it was MMCM, business model, target market, content options, and then media choices. Today, we're going to talk about target market, content options, and media choices. When we sit down with clients, I had told you the business model takes about 60% of our time to cover with a client. The target market takes about 20% to 25% of our time, and then content options and media choices, that's somewhere between 7 and 10% of our time with our clients. So you can see we did a lot of the heavy lifting in the last training we had. And that's why it seemed like you were drinking from a fire hose, because it was a lot of information in 1 hour's time. All right? But today, we're going to talk about your business in particular. So get ready to share, because we're going to ask you some questions. All right? So the business model, here's where you find out what you really sell. We used an example last time, and we said True Classic Tees was the example. What does True Classic Tees really sell? What they truly sell is custom fit for men. So they sell t-shirts, they sell pants, they sell underwear, they sell activewear, they sell outdoor wear, and it's all based on this custom fit for men. You put in your size, you put in your chest size, your waist size, your height, and they can get you a custom fit. That's what True Classic Tees is all about. So let's move on to who your target market is. And before we do that, we're going to have 5 key takeaways for today. If you remember, write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because here are the 5 things that you will hear from me today. They are the most important takeaways. Talk about the importance of target market. Why does it even matter? Because a lot of people say to me, I want to sell to anyone and everyone in a 300-mile radius. And what you realize when you talk about the importance of it, one of the things you realize is you just can't afford to market to that many people. Number 2, we're going to talk about psychographics. Everybody knows what demographics are. Some know what psychographics are. We're going to talk about why they're important and how to create them. We're going to talk about why and how to build personas. So some people call them buyer personas. Some people call them customer personas. They're the same thing. We're going to talk about why they're important and how to build them. Then we're going to talk about that content options that you may have right before you and not realize. And then we're going to talk about media choices. That'll be the last thing. And as I told you last week, everyone comes to me with media choice questions first. And that's really the last thing that we're going to talk about when we talk about your strategic marketing plan. Okay? So, if I said the business model is what do you really sell, the target market is really who do you aim to reach. Now, those words, who do you aim to reach, is important. So let's look at that. Our model, when we work with someone to define their target market, we look at 4 things. We look at their demographics. We look at their potential customers' behaviors and interests. We do some internal research, and then we create personas. Those are the 4 things we do when we're trying to define a client's target market. So here's a quick definition of what target market is. It is a group of potential customers that your business aims to reach. Real simple definition, right? It is crucial for successful marketing planning. It is crucial. I will tell you, there are so many people who do not know their target market, or they think they know what the target market is. And if you don't know what it is, you really have a hard time setting up a marketing plan. And then this group is characterized by those things like demographics, psychographics, interests, intents, and it helps your business tailor their marketing strategies efficiently. And what I mean by that last part about tailor your marketing strategies efficiently, I simply mean you can spend a lot of money not knowing who your target market is, and you can waste a lot of money. As I said, if you come to me and say, hey, I want to reach anybody within a 300-mile radius, you're spending a lot of money to reach all those people, when reality is you probably only need to reach the people in this radius or this target market. Now, why is your target market important? Here's the key takeaway, really. Why do we care about target market? Well, this research was done by McKinsey and Company, and it said that 72% of the people they surveyed said that they expect businesses they interact with and buy from to recognize them as individuals and know their interests. They expect that. 72%. Here's the most interesting about that study. That study was conducted in 2021. The information was released in early 2022. This is 2022 data. We're now in 2025. Where do you think that's gone now? Higher, right? Right? More people expect you to know who they are. Here's 3 other very important facts that came out of this research. When they were asked to define personalization, these people said it's as simple as making me feel special. Making me feel special was one of the things they said is personalization or individualization, knowing who I am and what I feel, making me feel special. Now, that could mean anything in a bunch of different businesses, and it means something different in every business, and that's why you have to know your strategy. They respond positively when brands care about them and the relationship, not just the transaction. It's the relationship, not just the transaction. And then the last thing is thoughtful touch points are check-in post-purchase. Those things are valuable, and it gives the people a positive brand experience. So a post-purchase checkpoint is like, hey, how's that working out for you? If you sold someone a car, how's that working out for you? If you repaired something on them, hey, for their car, how'd that repair look? Is it still working? You have any issues with it? They say, well, I hear this weird sound. Bring it in. We'll take a look at it. That makes them positive about your brand's perception. If I come to a fine arts event, I don't want to be bombarded by, hey, here's what's upcoming. But what I might want to see is, here's the highlights of the show. Here's our favorite song from the show. Something to that effect. So this is number 1. Why is target market important? All right. We talked about the 4 things that we do. We do target marketing, and we said demographics was the first thing that we do. Now, most people know that demographics is like age, gender, income, occupation. We know that geographics are things like how far. Then as I said, we're going to talk about psychographics and behavior, and they're slightly different. The psychographics go beyond things like your demographics. They go into things that talk about like your lifestyle, your attitudes, your interests, and your values. Okay? This is very important, and people don't always get this one right, so we're going to spend a little bit of time on that one. And then behavioral is simply looking at your current customers. How do they behave and how do they react? This is the section where we talk about what are psychographics. I already gave you the definition of what psychographics are. You can always look this up anywhere. In this case, I looked it up from HubSpot, and as you can see right there on the slide, I like to use HubSpot. They're one of my favorites in regards to my research. Okay? So that's what the definition is, but how are they used? And they are used to create accurate personas. Psychographics are used to create accurate personas. That's all you have to write down today. And that is important because it helps you understand your market. It helps you market to those consumers and their purchasing habits and their emotions. How many people realize that a lot of customers buy on emotions more than they buy on logic? Happens all the time, all the time. Even in your business, I bet you people come to you when they get emotional about their AR than when they're logical about it. They should have come to you a long time ago, and they don't. An emotional thing happens, and they're like, I got to get something to. See, it's emotional. So this is why it's important to understand psychographics of your customers. Now, demographic versus psychographics, we talked about that. Here's some examples. This young lady, she's a female. She's aged 25 to 35. She's unmarried with no children, has a household income of $45,000. Now, I have no idea who that model is in this ad. That's just the demographics I made up about her. What would be an example of what psychographics might say about her?
She likes reading.
She likes reading. That could be a psychographic. Did you have more beyond that?
Her kids like to go to the museum.
She has no kids.
Oh wait, never mind.
So, not her, but that type of thing. She likes reading. Give me another psychographic example.
She's into fitness.
She's into fitness. Good. You guys are really good. This is good. That's type of psychographic. Now, we don't know if that's true on this one. It's just examples. Here we go. Here's the ones that I came up with. She's dealing with issues of unintended weight gain, lack of energy, and hormonal imbalance. Now, I'm not saying this person is. The point I'm making is that's how deep you got to go to know who your clients are. She's concerned with her health and her parents. She wants a healthy lifestyle but doesn't have much free time. Okay? Enjoys going online in the evening and is a big fan of Pinterest. Could be anything. That's just the example. Tends to favor quality over economy. She finds fulfillment in her career and her friends, and she values time with a small group of friends. Okay, so I'm going to share something with you. When I talked about, we're going to go back to Vasquez Music Studio. They defined two distinct personas. And remember, this helps you develop those personas, the psychographics. And I'm just going to call them the American and Hispanic families. Even though Hispanics, like myself, are American, I'm trying to distinguish, okay? So, in their American demographics, the mothers are slightly older than the Hispanic parents, demographically. In the American, they tend to have smaller families than the Hispanics, demographically. Okay? And in the income, that was closer than we thought, but we do have usually a different income demographic. Okay? Those were things. When we looked at the psychographics, here's what we found out. In the American, mom makes the decision if their student is going to take piano lessons. In the Hispanic, mom does all the research, dad makes the decision, mom says she made the decision. Two different ones. Cultural differences. Cultural differences. Now, I'm not saying stereotypes. This is what we found out when we're looking at the psychographics of their profile. Okay? All stuff that's important to understand when you're marketing to these people. It's very important things. I'll give you one more that I think is very interesting. With the American students, they want their students to take piano lessons and they want them to be taught in English. With the Hispanic students, they want their teacher to be able to speak to the parents in Spanish, but they want their students trained in English. Psychographic information. And it's just those type of things. So we may market to the parents in Spanish, but Vasquez Music Studio had to make sure they also let them know that he did get a degree from, doctor's degree from UNL, so he could speak English as well. Just one of those things that happen. So very good information. It helps you with your marketing tremendously, and it requires that kind of detail. So how do you find psychographic data? You can't just make it up like I'm doing today. You have to be able to find your psychographic detail. So here's a couple ways to find it. Number one, Interview existing clients. Now, obviously, you're not going to interview every client. You're going to interview those who are your best clients. You're going to ask them questions. Why do you come to us? What do you like about this? What is in your lifestyle? What motivates you to buy this? What motivates you to come see us? What motivates you? You're going to, if you want to be a little more behind the scenes, you're going to review website analytics. If you currently have a website and you don't have analytics on it, you're wasting your time, because that information is all available for you. You just need to have the right website developed and get the analytics. I imagine at the college, you probably have a website, you probably have someone who has those analytics, but you may not be seeing them. So you need to ask for them. Library, same thing. Columbus Motor Company, same thing. Same thing.
We get ours.
You get yours. Good man. All right. Now here's one that I think is a little bit harder, and then when your business gets a little bigger, it's use focus groups. Getting this information. It takes someone with a lot of skills to do that. I would not say I'm a good person for that project. But that's one way. A better way would be to collect data from other market research available. Now, I don't know if Trackside District has done any research about who comes to the downtown market, but that information is probably available on your site, or we could probably email you and you can get us some of that, right?
Actually, we get it from the county.
So psychographic data is available to us. Sometimes it's out there, and some people, you don't have to recreate the wheel, just find the data. So we do, when we're working with our clients, the third thing we do is, I said, internal research, and we are just looking at what marketing that they have done, and what were the results, who were the people that came from those different marketing successes, and if they have any information on their current customers, and what do they do with it. Okay? You need to know those things. That's internal research. And here we go. Creating personas. This is the big one, and it's the most fun one. So, as I mentioned, they're sometimes called consumer, there's sometimes called buyer personas. It's all the same thing. And it's just simply a detailed profile of the ideal customer, and includes everything that we've talked about. The demographics, the psychographics, their motivation and challenges, all that comes together in a customer persona. Why do we create them? Again, because this is moving us down that train of creating a better strategic marketing plan in our sales strategy. Okay? It's not just the demographics, it's beyond that, and we create these personas. Now, what if you appeal to different groups? What if you appeal to different groups? Do you have different groups of people that you sell to?
Yeah.
Give me 2 groups or 3 groups that you sell to.
We have like older people, like 40s, 50s.
Okay.
We have like middle-aged people.
Okay.
And then we have recently been getting a lot of like younger people, like 18, 19, 20.
So she broke that into 3 different demographics, and they're different people, and they probably had different psychographics for each group. I'm sure the guy in the 65-year age is not buying a car for the same reason as the person in the 28-year-old is. You know what I mean? They're buying the car for different reasons, and they're probably buying different cars. And so if that happens, you then have to create different personas. I told you Vasquez Music Studio has how many personas? 2. Moms and moms. That's the 2 groups, 2 different groups. Here are the 5 steps to creating a persona. And you're not going to be shocked, because some of this we've talked about. Here it is, though, in 5 steps you can write down and create your own persona. Number 1, you're not going to believe this, research your audience. Research who's currently buying from you. Start that categorization first. All right, number 2, segment your customers. Once you realize who you currently have, start by segmenting them. Breaking them down by similarities. In this case, Tanya gave us an example. She broke it down by age groups and the different cars they buy. That's the segmentation of your current customers. Then identify the key details. What do these people have in common? Why do we get so many that buy this car in this age group? You start putting those details together. And then you build your personas. which is now remember, building personas requires you to look at who the ideal customer is. After you've done this research, you kind of have a sense who the ideal customers come to the library, who uses the library most, what are those categories. Let's build personas. And then you visualize and refine those personas. This is the hardest thing for people to do. It seems like a waste of time. Why am I doing this? But I promise you, if you do this stuff, your business is very, very focused. And this is our target customer. Last time I told you my brother and I had a salon. It was called Mario's Salon for Men. Okay? We actually had 4 of them, but there were different names. But Mario's Salon for Men was a salon that was for men. And it was a full-service salon, including manicures and pedicures. You remember this story, right? Okay. So in that salon, I also said we had 2 haircuts. Do you remember the 2 prices we had?
The $9.99 haircut and the $20 haircut. Right?
We had 21 and 23, and people would come in and ask about $9.99 haircuts.
We fixed those.
We fixed those $9.99 haircuts. And we would tell those people where they could go get $9.99 haircuts because they were not our persona. They felt uncomfortable spending $21 or $23 for a haircut. So that was not our client. If they came in and we told them this is what it was, this was the value, and they said, I want to get it, that was fine with us. We didn't turn them away. But if you want a $9.99 haircut, that wasn't ours. And we were very specific about who we served. We had women that came to our salon because we had barbers and they liked their haircut. Some women like short haircut. We didn't target market them at all. We didn't market to them at all. They were not part of our target market. But when they came in, we took care of them. We didn't have a problem with it. And we had to continue to refine who we dealt with. We just refined it, and refined it until we knew who our customers were. Okay? Then our marketing became very efficient once we knew who that was. So here's some examples of personas. Has anybody seen these before? You've seen these before? Where did you see them?
We actually had to do these when we were designing the new building.
Oh, I love it. Do you still have them?
We have a few of them still around someplace. But yeah, we had to make these, but we didn't have the training to do these.
You just filled it out?
Yeah, we just filled it out. They came in and go, well, you're going to do this and this. And we're like,
But how do we do it?
how?
Right. That happens a lot. I will tell you, when I work with business owners a lot, you'll be surprised how many will give me the information based off what they think. And so as I told you guys, this is about a 10 to 12 hour process for the business owner and about a 20-hour process of me doing research to verify what they told me is what actually I see in the community. So they'll say in the community that, oh, we're representative of the community. So we have, 95% white, 5% Hispanic, 4% this. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't even match up with what the community is. So that type of stuff, we go and verify, and then we come back and talk to them and help them figure out how to get those psychographics. So these things are incredible, and I want you to look at this. This one here, it's a prime example. They have demographics, and right below it, they have his goals and motivations. And I love this one because it says he wants to grow his business so he can give his family a decent life and feel like a responsible father and husband. I mean, that's very specific in what kind of market they want to target, who they want to target. If you look over here, this one cracks me up too. Common objectives. He thinks content marketing cannot attract customers for him. The kind of traffic he wants. He doesn't believe in content marketing. Here I am, and I still didn't take that one out because I thought it was funny. He talks about his pain points, struggling to attract steady traffic to his website. That's his pain point. Now, this is obviously a business one here. It's a business customer, and it's maybe somebody like I might want to approach for a marketing agency. And he loves to spend time on Facebook, enjoys the park with his kids on the weekends. So that is a persona. Now, this one over here on the right is a better persona, and I'll tell you why. It has some of the same information on it, but they literally took and found a picture of what the customer looks like. Now, they're not saying that only customers that look like that can come into their store. That's not what they're saying. But they are saying this is kind of what we envision. Doesn't mean everybody looks like that. Doesn't mean you have to look like that to use their store. But they went so far to say, we took all this information and this is what we envision. So we're going to go on to content options now, and this is a very popular question that we get. What content? How do I create content? Where do I get content? And so here are 8 tips and tricks on creating engaging content for small businesses. Doesn't matter what platform you're going on, these 8 tips are universal. Ready? Here we go. Number 1, know your audience. Review your personas, and then here's the key right here. Solve a problem they have. Solve a problem they have. I continually go back to Vasquez Music Studio, and the problem their customers had was they didn't know the benefits of taking piano lessons. What do you think the benefits of taking piano lessons are? As a group here, what do you think?
Builds brain pathways in the brain.
It does. That was one that we educate people on. What's another one?
The child has like a better chance of getting into Ivy League school potentially.
You know what? That was one they were very cautious about. It came up in our discussions, but they didn't want to say that because they didn't want to guarantee that. But there is some research that shows that music helps. Yeah. Other problems that people had was they didn't know where to take piano lessons. The Hispanic moms didn't know where to find an instructor because there are Spanish instructors who will teach Spanish students and teach them in Spanish, but they wanted their students taught in English. So they had to educate people like, hey, we can do that. So that's the problem you're solving. You have to solve a problem. It's not just that I need a new car. If my car broke down, that might be my problem. But sometimes I just want a new car, and that's the problem. I don't think I can afford it. I need to have that problem solved. Okay? Number 2, tell stories, and then you see the ellipsis, ... well. Tell stories well. As I started today, I said we are most known for Columbus champions. I want to make 2 points about this. It tells stories well, but is this digital or is this traditional?
Both. Is both? Like that one specifically traditional, but is that on a digital platform as well?
So it is a hybrid. We do have it on a digital platform too. You can find it online at 402content.com. But it is a traditional media, and it just proves my point. I would say, if I had to say is it digital or traditional, I would say it is traditional, a traditional mini publication. But because it tells stories well, and we know who our audience is, and we can tell the stories our audience enjoys reading, the strategy works. I cannot say this again. Tell your stories. Now, that's the strategy that we have for this publication and reaching our market, and we're okay with the traditional media. I just bring it up. It's not digital or it's not traditional. It's the strategy. If you tell your stories well, it's going to resonate with your audience. And if you tell it on Facebook, I think you said that Facebook worked better for some of your events.
Quite a few, at least for this area, yes.
Okay, so tell the story on Facebook. It's great that the next show is coming. Tell a story about the show. All right, use visuals. Oh my goodness, use visuals. This is so important because it's been a staple of advertising from the beginning. Everybody knows what they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And here's the thing, short videos, infographics, and even memes, if you can do them properly, rule social media. And here's the funny thing, if you come to the top 25 trends, you're going to see us talk about this is one of the hottest trends, which I find hilarious because TV originally came out, and then they thought, what if we do these little TV shows that are an hour long? Because then that'll be a little shorter. And then what if we want to market to our customers? And so they did infomercials. And then they said, what if we make them short? And then we'll call those commercials. And they'll be how long?
30 seconds.
30-second commercials. Well, guess what? That's what the world is looking for in their social media. They don't want it to be a commercial, but they want that short time commitment. And I'll be honest with you, I'm guilty of looking at YouTube shorts, and I'll watch them, and I'll watch them, and I'll watch them, and I'll watch them. And I'm like, I just spent 20 minutes watching shorts. Crazy, right? All right. We're going to take a break. We're going to play a game. and you guys are going to participate. The game is called Good Bad Design. Through this real quick. Number 4, educate and inspire. Inspire. That is what you should do when you're creating content. Educate and inspire. If you're on social media, the other thing is inform, educate, and entertain is the other thing on social media. But overall, this is something you should do with your content. Number 5, be relatable and authentic. This is hard for small business owners in particular, because who becomes the face of your business? Because you're probably not going to hire personalities. You're not going to hire Michael Jordan to promote your collection agency. Or excuse me, that's not what you called it. You called it a accounts receivable company. Different. So you're not going to hire Michael Jordan probably. Maybe.
Well, I mean, if I could have.
Oh, okay. But I mean, so it's hard also to use humor in everyday scenarios, but you have to be in your own tone. Be in your tone. Be you, authentic to who you are and who your business is. Okay. Encourage interaction. When you're creating content, encourage interaction. That's difficult. It's getting more and more difficult as people are getting more and more weighed down by information. So it's hard to answer that question. If you ask me, how do you create encouragement or interaction? It's different, but if you have a very specific target audience you're talking to, it's easier because you know them and they know you. When you're saying it to the world, it's a little bit harder. Okay, so that goes back to why you want to target market, a specific target. But the next one everybody should do, and that is respond as quickly as you can. If you were here last week, you heard me talk about that. It's important. Number 7, consider your and your staff's skills and passions. This is what I was talking about earlier. I went into a store. They have employees there who obviously understand social media, but when they're not doing something with clients, they're not actively engaged in helping the company build that business. I will tell you that we are inside the Beautiful Wellness Studio. Used to be the Beautiful Wellness Boutique, and she actually gave guidelines to her staff, and they ran her social media page. And if you go back and look at what they used to do, it was well defined, and their staff did all that, not her. The voice was we. Come see us. Okay? And number 8 is market consistently. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm not going to tell you must do 3 times a week, you must do 5 times a week, you must do 10 times a week, you must be on 3 platforms, you must be on 10 platforms. It depends on what your strategic marketing plan is. But whatever it is, be consistent with it, for heaven's sakes. Seems simple. Okay, and here's number 5. How small businesses should pick media to use. 1, set clear goals. We've kind of talked about this already. Which personas are you targeting? Are you branding or are you driving sales? 2 different goals. And then establish a budget and a time frame. So when I sit down with customers, I sit down and I say, hey, what's the budget? What's the time frame? And then we talk about what media we're going to use. Okay? Choose platforms strategically. This includes like, who do I already have in-house that can help me with this? Or who do I need to hire that can help me with this? If you don't have someone who can write content, you hire that out. But this is choosing your platform strategically based on your strategic marketing plan. Who do we have in-house? Then how do I get it done? Consistency in branding. I will tell you that this happens less in today's society. I don't see this much in today's society as back when traditional media was big, and I would see different logos for a business on different types of media. I was like, why do they have different logos? Be consistent. Your logo for the Fine Arts School should look like CCC's logo. Should have a tie. I imagine it does. I've seen some of your marketing, but that's a prime example of making them consistent. Okay? If you're doing different programs for the library, they should look some consistency. Maybe not exactly the same, but some consistency in the branding specifically. Okay? And then experiment and test. Start small. If you're a small business owner, you're like, where do I go? How do I start? Yes, you build your strategic marketing plan. You take that first step by doing this, setting the goals, choosing the platform, being consistent on it, and analyze the results. That's the benefit of digital marketing. You get results, you can analyze it. Then you refine. So with that said, thank you for your time. Sorry we went a little bit late today.